a Nightfarer will feel godlike, or absolute trash depending on who's playing it. If you're a spellcaster, a big bong colossal weapon enthusiast raider will never feel S tier to you. No matter what anyone says, your noodle arms cannot comprehend the concept of Unga Bunga swinging colossal weapons with zero thought. Every character is overpowered in the right hands, and it is up to you to discover who's your S tier godlike Nightfarer really is. While I clearly have my favorite playstyles like getting bullied by Royal Revenants and other fast enemies as Chicken Man, or collecting the biggest weapon possible as Revenant, I still think every Nightfarer is an S tier in their own way. Together we're going to break down what makes each character brokenly powerful and how you can reach that OP stage with all of them. So grab some snacks and buckle up. Let's start with the Chicken. Low damage, runs out of stamina all the time, and his dodge roll is allergic to iframes. F tier. Obviously not. Once you figure out the playstyle, Guardian is an easy S tier, but at that point his usefulness depends on how much you enjoy the shield based gameplay. Guardian isn't a damage dealer like the other Nightfarers, but that doesn't mean you can't obliterate everything in a solo expedition. One thing you will struggle with is aggressive enemies who never stop attacking. You run out of stamina after 2 hits and your dodge may as well not exist. The thing is, your dodge roll is basically a filler animation. The real purpose of your dodge button is the Steel Guard skill. Press the dodge button while blocking and you will receive a significant buff to your blocking capability. But it drains a serious amount of stamina over time, so don't just activate it and stare at the boss, my dude. Only trigger the skill right before big hits and then quickly release the block button to deactivate Steel Guard. Equipment is more critical for Guardians than any other Nightfarer. The shield already comes with a full physical negation, but that's not enough. Focus on grabbing shields with high guard boost and even some elemental damage reduction based on whatever that Night Lord in your expedition is using. As for weapons, prioritize halberds followed by spears and then anything with B or higher strength scaling. Stay away from dexterity weapons at all costs, but if you come across Endspur Rapier, grab it for some easy shield poke status effects, because even though Scarlet Rot is nerfed, it is still good to have on the background. And finally, get yourself some seals, dude. There are some great incantations that will carry you through the expedition. Golden Vow and Immutable Shield are the best buffs available to you. If you see them, pick them right away. Also, Black Flame Blade is a rare one, but it will give you the damage you desperately need. Scarlet Rot and Bleed are pretty weak in Night Rain, but Black Flame still shreds enemies with high health pulls. And now comes the relics. Gain stamina on hit, heal on block, attacks restore pulse, damage, that thing. These are all amazing and they matter more than your stat boosts. Prioritize things that give you passive healing, stamina recovery and guard boost, and you can ignore stat and weapon buffs. A nice bonus is the Taunt on block relic, but obviously don't use that on solo expeditions, you don't need them. Like, unless you don't want boss to attack your imaginary friend, you don't need to worry about it. You will have the aggro anyway. Playstyle is super simple. Boost your guard, charge guard counters whenever you can, fully charge your ultimate when you activate it, and enjoy a short period of immortality. If you're looking for absurd damage, Guardian will never be that, but as long as you know how to manage Steel Guard, Guardian cannot die. He is a defensive Nightfarer, so his ranking is really up to you. If you want a fast Nightfarer who deals huge chunks of damage, Chicken Man is F tier. But if you want a defensive character who can face tank everything while melting health bars with the right setup, he's your S tier character. Let's go with the next one. Wilder is the balanced character who's supposed to be okay at everything without excelling at anything. But that isn't really true. Quality builds in Elden Ring were kind of disappointing, only a handful of them were actually viable. But Wilder is here to bring Dark Souls 3's quality builds back. With A scaling in strength and B scaling in dexterity, you have the freedom to wield pretty much anything. But if you really want to deal solid damage, go for Greatsword. That said, it's not a hard rule you need to follow all the time. You've got the freedom to play whatever moveset you enjoy the most, and this is what Wilder offers you. Personally, there are two mutually exclusive talismans I love running as Wilder. Axe Talisman for that sweet charged heavy attacks, and Claw Talisman for that power stance Greatsword jump attacks. Either one works great, but keep in mind, power stance greatswords eat up a ton of stamina, so if you're dual wielding, always prioritize stamina boost over anything. While Raider is the heavy hitter of the squad, I feel like Wilder is better at stance breaking. Even though they deal similar posture damage, Wilder's heavy attacks come out way faster with the right weapon. Now, aside from Death's Poker and Wilder's starting weapon, almost all great swords have B scaling in strength and C in dexterity, so you can't go wrong. Most of them will work just fine as long as you enjoy them. Of course, there's no single weapon that dominates every encounter, but some are best suited for certain Night Lords, like if you remember Gladius, that three-headed dog boss, you will want to bring Golden Order Greatsword, Sacred Relic Sword, or just anything with holy damage. Even Sacred Grease works there. Blasphemous Blade is perfect for Sentient Pest because it deals fire damage, boss is weak to fire damage, so it's like super straightforward. Ogre is weak to lightning, but again, Sacred Relic Sword or Blasphemous Blade are probably the best options because you want to deal AoE damage in that fight. I'm not going to list every single Night Lord here, but trust me, other than Libra, you can bully every boss with the right great sword. But if you just want one weapon to carry you through the whole game as Wilder, go with the Godslayer's Greatsword. Weapon art is slow, but it melts anything with a big health pool. Pair it with Warrior Jar Shard and just spam that Ash of War for some easy boss kills. You can even pop your ultimate right before your Ash of War to guarantee a stagger and get a free hit. In the hands of Wilder, quality weapons will melt bosses, stagger enemies with heavy attacks, land a couple light hits, follow up with a critical, and as soon as boss recovers, hit him with your ultimate to instantly stagger them again and just repeat the process. You can stunlock bosses and absolutely bully them. Wilder may be the balanced one without any obvious specialty, but he can absolutely compete and even outperform the other damage dealers. He staggers better than some of the supposed heavy hitters, and he's just a great character. If you enjoy a versatile, balanced character who's great at everything without relying on support mechanics, Wilder is your S tier Nightfarer. How does budget Sekiro fare against Night Lords? She's a tricky character who can turn into a burden for the team in the wrong hands, because her ability only shines when you use it as intended. Executor's playstyle is simple. She has the most broken stat sheet among all the Nightfarers with S scaling in both dexterity and arcane. You have the freedom to use any dex weapon, but if you want to deal ridiculous amount of damage, your options are obvious. First choice is Katana, no surprise there. Second, Raptor Talons. It's one of the best dex weapons in Elden Ring, and it is still an absolute beast in Night Rain. As an executor, we're not chasing pure physical damage. What matters are the status effects boosted by her S arcane scaling. Your ideal late game setup should combine Bleed and Frost alongside a secondary weapon with fire damage so you can constantly trigger that sweet frostbite. If you want the best possible weapon, Frost Executor's Blade is your answer. You can upgrade it early and melt the enemies through the entire expedition. As long as you stack multiple status effects on a single weapon, you're set. And some other great options include Dragon Scale Blade for that frostbite, Serpent Bone for poison, and Rivers of Blade is an okay weapon in Night Rain. Executor's skill Suncatcher is what will carry you through the game, but only if you use it correctly. You probably already know it activates Sekiro style deflections, but there's a catch. While Suncatcher is active, your weapon is weaker than the starting one. It cannot proc status effects, and the terrible mobility lets the enemies easily get out of your range. So here's the tip. Never use Suncatcher as your main offensive tool. It is not there to deal damage. Activating and deactivating the skill automatically deflects incoming attacks, and that's exactly how you should use it. Fight normally with your actual weapon and treat Suncatcher like a parry tool. Activate it just before an enemy hits you and deactivate it right after the next attack. You should only deal damage with this thing after deflecting 4 hits. Once your blade glows, you can unleash a powerful follow attack that gives you a long duration of iframes and great posture damage. So gameplay is straightforward. Deflect attacks by toggling your skill, use the Cursed Sword's burst once every 4 deflections, and rely on your main weapon for the big bleed and frostbite damage. You can also use your ultimate skill to wipe out entire hordes of enemies to level up quickly, and you don't need to rely on RNG either. You start with the best weapon for executors, just grab smithing stones and enjoy your overpowered katana early on. You also get a 20% attack boost and faster stamina recovery anytime you're affected by a status effect. So in order to proc bleed on yourself, pick up Seppuku the moment you see it. Executor is an S tier damage dealer who doesn't rely on luck to dominate the game. Iron Eye is amazing. The character itself finally finds a convenient way to fit bows into a Souls game. While making these videos, obviously I scroll through a lot of discussions and wiki pages, and so far I have seen a lot of insufferable, chronically online people calling Iron Eye and Wilder the noob classes. But obviously it's stupid, like it's not even a valid opinion. But as long as there are multiple options, some people will desperately try to devalue your choice instead of enjoying their own. As long as you're having fun, there's no wrong character or playstyle. The hate around Iron Eye comes from a tiny, toxic part of the community that just wants attention. Anyways, Iron Eye is obviously a great character, but he is mostly misunderstood. There's a common misconception that Iron Eye has low damage output and is mostly a support character, but that's just not true. That couldn't have been more wrong. Your damage depends mostly on your range. Yes, you have a ranged weapon, but the damage reduction based on distance is brutal in Elden Ring. If you're shooting from far away, not only will you do almost no damage, but once the boss starts chasing you, your teammates will waste time trying to reposition. If you want to maximize your damage, you need to treat bows like colossal weapons. They have slow recovery time, but in close range they hit hard. So while playing Iron Eye, stay close to the boss. Be in melee range because your heavy attacks work like shotgun at close range. And you even have a pretty powerful backstab with your bow. Also, make sure to free aim against giants and dragons because headshots melt both their health and posture bars. Simply put, if you're always far away, your damage will be consistent, but it will be absurdly low. So stay in melee. Iron Eye has one of the best dodge rolls in the game, so make use of it. For equipment, avoid great bows. Your strength scaling is too low for great bows and you will never make good use of them. You can obviously throw in some dexterity melee weapons because you have good scaling, but mainly you have two options. One, get a bow with rain of arrows skill for the big bosses like dragons, because this skill will obliterate enemies. Combine it with FP restoration on successive hits and you can spam it through the entire fight. Second one, and this is the simplest option you have, just upgrade your starting weapon to +2. It already has S scaling in dexterity, so there's no need to hunt for new bows. Also, don't skip weapon greases. Bleed, rot, sleep and poison greases are your best in slot choices for Iron Eye, but even all the other ones are still good because you will just receive free damage. If you see a grease, just pick them up, it's free damage. Talismans are straightforward. Go for stamina and bow damage. Green Turtle, Viridian Amber Medallion, Arrow String and Arrow's Reach are the best talismans you can hope for. Now for your skills, I will be super clear here. Your passive helps you and your teammates find better loot. And as your main skill, your mark increases the damage target takes, and once enough damage is dealt, your mark explodes and deals a burst damage. And you can extend the duration of your mark by placing a new one before the old one ends. So use it as often as possible, because if you're just shooting arrows from distance, you're doing like 10 damage per arrow. It's not practical at all, you need to be close. As for your ultimate, it is a great stagger tool. Use it to cancel certain boss attacks, and don't forget it goes through the terrain. You can free aim and revive your teammates from anywhere as long as they're in the range. Iron Eye is a powerful range character who actually excels in melee with bow heavy attacks. Thanks to the buffs in Night Rain, you will land headshots constantly even without free aiming. He got extended iframes, burst damage, stagger tools and the ability to revive from anywhere. Obviously he's an S tier character, but I can't stress this enough, you need to be in close range if you want to deal damage. Duchess is an absurdly overpowered character who is often misplayed. She's one of my favorites in the game, but I actually avoid playing as her because she is so good that using her makes me worse with other Nightfarers. Her dodge alone doesn't have the most iframes, but the second dodge that follows makes it incredibly easy to avoid every single attack in the game. She also has a unique backstab animation that honestly should have been standard in every Souls game. While the iframes aren't exactly generous, you can still dodge almost everything just by mastering those backstabs. Here's the part most people get wrong about Duchess. Yes, she starts with a dagger, but she's no longer a thief since becoming a priestess of the Round Table Hold. You shouldn't think Duchess as a pure dexterity damage dealer, she leans more into a hybrid caster dex build. She benefits most from dexterity weapons that also scale with fate or intelligence. Glintstone Chris, a fully upgraded Duchess's dagger, and Black Knife are all excellent options, but don't feel like you need to dual wield for damage. A single dagger is just as fast. Instead, focus on playing with one dagger and a seal or a staff that can cast low FP quick spells. Carrion Slicer, Catch Flame, Bestial Sling are all amazing options that will boost your overall damage like crazy. Duchess isn't a full-on damage dealer, but she can still solo everything with ease. Grab the relic that auto-activates your skill and spam your low cooldown ability whenever you get the chance. After a critical hit or a long combo, always activate your ability to replicate a portion of the damage dealt and increase your chances of staggering the enemy. Her ability isn't great in solo play, you can use it to quickly reach a boss in most camps, but I mostly use it for the iframes during activation. Duchess is the best melee caster hybrid in the game, dealing magic, fire and holy damage on top of already high physical damage output. She can melt everything. Her total damage doesn't always translate well to online play, but she is an incredibly versatile character who can fit any scenario. Perfect dodge roll, best damaging skill in the entire game, a clutch ultimate for group expeditions, she's a great character. S tier if you enjoy fast hybrid damage dealers. If you enjoy tank type characters but can't stand playing with a shield, try Raider. While Guardian blocks hits with his shield, Raider uses his forehead to block. Don't say this straight to a strength build, but we all know the easiest builds are often strength ones in Souls games. Try fighting Gale with a fast weapon, you might stagger him once every 2 business days. Try it with a great weapon and every third hit is a stun. Raider carries the core of heavy weapon gameplay. Your attacks are slow but you stagger enemies more often. Raider will do well with any strength scaling weapon, and based on talismans you found, you can pick your own playstyle. If you find a claw talisman, power stancing 2 identical weapons paired with jump attacks will devastate bosses. Axe talisman means grab the meanest weapon you can find and land charged heavy attacks whenever you can. A great shield talisman paired with a fancy shield will let you tank better than even Guardian at times. But Raider requires some luck and preparation before becoming an S tier character. There are 3 relics that can turn this guy into a monster. First, partial HP restoration upon post-damage attacks. It's simple. You charge your heavy attack, the enemy hits you, then you land the fully charged heavy attack, and in return you restore all your lost HP in the process. This alone is better than any stat relic you can get. Next, Raider's special relic, taking damage during character skill boosts attack power and stamina. Since the main use of your character skill is trading damage, this is a must-have. Don't skip it. And the last one is pretty much the same as the previous. When you take damage, you get a damage boost to your own attacks. With these, you're ready to dominate the game. Obviously, you can't face tank every single mob and grab attacks will be your nightmare, but Axe Talisman combined with Dragon Crest Shield Talisman will make your expedition infinitely easier. Your skills as Raider are as straightforward as the playstyle. The character skills let you trade hits while dealing decent posture damage. Taking enough damage will boost your skill and you will unleash an AoE hit with a massive posture damage. Your ultimate also deals a lot of posture damage, but you will mainly use it for the massive buff that follows the burst damage. It can trap small bosses and even the loot inside the totem, so don't bother using it against man-sized enemies unless you want to quickly clear camps. Raider is the off-tank character who can trade hits better than anyone while spamming heavy staggering attacks. He's mechanically much easier than Guardian while offering similar survivability. If you're a strength player having wet dreams about Havel and Giant Death once a week, Raider is your S tier character. Reclusa is without a doubt the most complex Nightfarer in the game. She might seem like your typical free FP spell spam glass cannon, but once you figure out her intended playstyle, she becomes a jack of all trades kind of character, an incredible character who is viable in literally every single scenario. I was never a fan of pure caster builds in Souls games, not because there's anything wrong with spamming spells, but because I always enjoyed melee or hybrid characters more. So naturally, Reclusa was a character I ignored for as long as I could, but I couldn't have been more wrong about her. Reclusa is a glass cannon damage dealer, but she also has the option to become the single best support class in the entire game. With access to broken team-wide buffs like auto parries, group healing and even infinite focus point, she is so much more than a spellcaster. Her ultimate is simple. Once activated, she curses all nearby enemies and attacking any afflicted target will grant both HP and FP to your team. You can also use it to revive allies, but it doesn't do a lot of damage, so you need to use it when they only have 1 pip left. And the long iframes during the cast is a good bonus that will let you bypass nearly any attack. But the real mechanic that makes Reclusa insanely powerful is her skill Magic Cocktail. If you don't care about Reclusa, you might assume it's just a glorified FP regen spell, but Magic Cocktail is what makes her deep, technical, and busted. Once you cast it, you will be able to collect elemental essences based on the type of damage recently dealt to your target. You can collect up to 3 essences at a time, and your next spell will completely change depending on the elements you have gathered. For example, if you gather 3 magic elements, you will trigger a timed magical burst that will occasionally hit the enemy. But the more variety you use, the stronger your cocktail becomes. And you don't even need to be the one dealing damage. You can collect essences from your teammates' attacks too. There are 14 combinations in total, and I recommend checking out Magic Cocktail Guide on Facstrolife. It's one of the rare times where Facstrolife's website is being useful, so why not make use of it? Each combo has its special place, but here are some of the best ones. Magic and Holy together gives your team unlimited FP for a short time. Fire and Holy summons a light that increases your team's max HP, reduces the enemy HP, and makes status effects easier to apply on enemies. Magic, Fire, and Lightning creates a gravity field that pulls enemies in and explodes for a massive burst of damage. Lightning and Holy grants auto parries. It is great for staggering. Fire, Lightning, and Holy deals massive AoE damage. Magic, Fire, and Holy creates Fire Breath that damages enemies while healing and restoring FP for allies. The combinations I didn't list are still strong, they all have uses in different scenarios, and that's the key to Reclusa's versatility. With her perfect balance of strong damage and game-breaking utility, she might be the best Nightfarer for online play. If you enjoy complex characters with steep learning curves and option to become a support or a damage dealer, Reclusa is an amazing S-tier character that you will love. Revenant is your glass cannon support damage dealer. So please stop stacking max health relic, boons, and talismans on her. She's not the character to tank hits. Her playstyle revolves around dealing damage and safety and granting immortality when needed. If you grab Revenant and start focusing on defensive stats, you will turn her into a terrible squishy tank who does 0 damage. Revenant is simple in principle but difficult in gameplay. You need to avoid hits and deal damage. If you need maximum health, you're doing something wrong. Now, most people, myself included when I first started, were treating starter weapons as trash that needs to be swapped as soon as possible. Well, this is wrong in so many ways. Fully upgraded starting weapons in certain Nightfarers are the best in slot, and in this case, Revenant's Cursed Claw is your best weapon. You will still get style points for wielding biggest weapons you can find, but if you want to go for efficiency rather than style, stick to the claws. Visit the mines as soon as you can and get your claws to +2. They have S scaling in Fate and they are so powerful that it's not even funny. So if you already have the best possible weapon right at the beginning, then what do you look for during the rest of the expedition? Well, you need seals while playing Revenant. They are your primary damage source, and the correct ones will help you dominate Night Lords. Godslayer's seal with Black Flame is amazing for boss fights, as long as they are not particularly resistant to that damage type. Frenzied Flame seal works like a shotgun. Bestial Sling from Clawmark seal is a fast, FP efficient incantation that can multiply your damage output. So, as Revenant, check all the churches and farm those seals. You also have beast scaling in both Intelligence and Arcane, so feel free to grab some staves to spice things up. But you are no Reclusa, you can't easily replace your FP, so when you're picking up a stuff, go for something FP efficient like Glintstone Pebble. Your talisman options for Revenant are super straightforward. Grab stuff that will boost your FP in different ways, and grab stuff that will boost your incantations. As for relics, focus on Old Portrait. Ghost Flame Explosion will clear camps and resurrect the enemies as your minions. You can also grab Ogre's Relic. Extra max health is fine, but it isn't why we want it. Healing your summons is a great bonus if you want to avoid aggro for the entire fight. Starting with a Wraith Calling Bell will let you speedrun camps on the first day, and you can also find some relics that will buff your summons. The point is, don't focus on relics that just improve your stats unless they also come with one of the benefits I mentioned. Revenant can be just as strong as any other Nightfarer, and she can even surpass their damage as long as she is built right. You can bypass the RNG by going with a simple +2 Revenant Claw build, or you can go on a seal hunt to reach those high damage numbers. Either way, Revenant is an incredible Fate caster who can solo anything with ease. If you enjoy summoner characters who avoid aggro while spamming devastating spells, Revenant is your S-tier character. Alright, that's all for today. Like if you liked, or dislike if you feel like it. Share your own opinion on each Nightfarer, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.